I'm Ramona Andrea. Today I'm going to demonstrate two of my favorite edgings for your crocheted garments or your knitted garments. Let's change the angle of the camera and then I can proceed showing you. Here's the first edging that I'm going to show you, and I cannot stress more how important it is really to finish off your crocheted items, whether it's a sweater or a blanket, blankets especially. It helps hold the edge of that garment tighter and from stretching. The first one I'm going to show you is the reverse single. Here I just, for demonstration purposes, I've done 2 rows of single crochets. And when you're doing a reverse single, you're going to just chain 1. And where your chain 1 is coming out of that stitch, you won't go into that stitch, you'll actually go into the next stitch. And you put your needle in backwards, come around, grab your yarn, bring it up as to 2 loops, and then go through, just as you would a regular single. And again, go back behind the stitch you just made, hook under the yarn, pull it through the 2 loops, a single. Now you can see that it kind of pulls it up. You do want to take the time to make sure that your tension is even so that these 2 loops, these 2 pieces of yarn are actually pretty symmetrical. So I'm going back in. Another point to make is keep your thumb on that stitch. If you let it slide down, it will end up becoming too small and harder to pull through. Pull through. And you can see this wonderful loopy, thick edging it gives it. It really is a pretty edging. You're actually done a single, you've just done it backwards. Hence the name, reverse single. And then this is the edging it produces. It opens up a little bit so it almost looks like a totally new stitch too. You get this lacy, soft edging for almost anything. And this is not a dressy edging. It can be used on anything. It just finishes off the edge. The other wonderful edging that I love is the slip stitch. You've done it numerous times, but sometimes we forget that this makes a wonderful edging. And the slip stitch looks like you're the start of a single crochet, but instead of grabbing the yarn, you're just pulling that first loop, that second loop through the first loop. And again, I'm going into the next single crochet. I've got 2 loops on my hook. Do not grab the yarn. Pull that second loop through that first loop. And I'm going to go a little bit faster to show you. And where you can really create it to become very interesting is I actually do at least 2 to 3 rows of a slip stitch. Now, on the slip stitch though, do not drop your crochet hook size. This has a tendency to draw in your work a little bit. So you want to do this stitch very loosely, not tightly, because you can change the dimension of that edge. And if you're finding that that's happening to you, switch to 1 size hook larger. So now I'm turning again. I want to do this one more time, but you can see that it draws it up a little bit. So in this instance, I probably would have changed to a bigger hook. Now you can see your single crochets lining up there. If you turn it slightly, it almost looks like you've got another tiny row of single crochets. When you want to do a slip stitch, put your needle through the 2 loops. Now, this is why I say it's nice if you've done it loosely when you crocheted it. Put it through those 2 loops, and again, you're creating a slip stitch. And I've definitely gotten these a little bit snug. It just makes it a little bit more difficult to push your hook through. But when you do 2 rows of this, it really has an interesting effect for your garment. I'll do this just a few more stitches. And then there's your edging. It actually makes it look like almost a double-sided little ropey braid, I think. Well, I've just shown you my two favorite. I hope you try them. Thank you.